I'm Janet, and I am working on a project for Christmas in July, and I have gone ahead and cut out my blank on my We Create laser, and I've created the file so that it is two-part. There's also a bow that you can cut separately out of wood as well. I have cut this out of 3mm basswood, and it is a little bit thin for this top layer, so you do need to be careful with the pine needle file. In fact, one little piece broke off on mine. Here's the piece that broke off that belongs over here, and I can go in and thicken up that branch so it has a little bit more sturdiness. You can see there that the wood itself is pretty darn thin. But I'm going to go ahead and paint this, glue it together, and then use an actual ribbon for the bow. And so I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to start with this piece here, and I am just going to paint it with an oyster beige. And I'm using cosmetic sponges. So I'm just going to put my paint on my glass mat. And that was, I shook that up, but maybe not good enough. Let's see, try for a little bit more. Here it comes out a little bit creamier. And then to paint it, I'm just going to go over the surface. It doesn't need a lot of paint. And what I'm trying to do is to maintain the part that is burnt here in the center just by going over it lightly. I want to leave that line as a definition. So you can just see how quick and easy this goes with the sponge. Not much difference in color from the basswood. I could have done a silver or something similar to that, but I really liked the look of this tan. And if you want, you can go in and do more than one coat. I am just mopping up some of the paint that got on the edge because I want to maintain that burnt edge as well. And then I think I might just run this right along the little edge of where it got etched into. And so that piece is done. I can just set it aside to dry. And then I'm going to go into my branches, and I can use this sponge from one of the other colors here because they're much darker. So I have three colors that I want to use. I want to go with a darker green here on this type of branch, a lighter green on this, and then a red on the berries. And for these, I am using Deco Earth. So I'm just going to once again squirt out a drop of the red, go right into that with my sponge, and you can see I'm just lightly tapping. Now this part here is going to be hidden under a bow, so I'm not too terribly worried about getting paint on the other lines. And that's it for that. And then I'm gonna have a little excess paint, so I am just gonna go in and wipe this up. Alright, so then I'm gonna go in with a lighter color, and I wanna see what this looks like. I may wanna add a little bit of white to that. So I have brought in the Deco Earth White. Still want to go a little lighter. And then the last one. So now I've made sure that this is fairly dry and it is not glued in place yet because I want to check out my ribbon, and I am going to make a bow using ribbon from Gwen Studios. All right, to make my bow, I'm going to leave a tail and figure out how large I want that loop to be. So about like that, and then on the other side about the same. Okay. And then I am just going to keep looping back and forth until I like the size of what I have. I think I'm at 3 on each side, and I think that's probably going to be good enough. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this tail. And then I'm going to use thread, however, wire would work great. I just don't have any right in front of me here. So I am just going to wrap this center piece here with some thread to hold it all together. And I want my tail facing down, so I need to make sure that happens there. All right. Now, if you had wire around this instead of just thread, you could pull it a lot tighter than what I have happening here. So now you can see I'm starting to tie it and pull tight. All right. I'm just tying a couple of knots here to hold it in place. And then I'm going to take those tails and then just wrap them around, because we're going to hide that in just a second with a piece of ribbon. All right, so let's see how this looks. And then we're going to fan out the sides. And we can work on this some more. I'm just going to twist things into place where I want them. I want those tails to hang down, the bow to be there. All right, and then I'm going to cut one more piece of ribbon. And that is going to go right around the center. And I'm going to glue that in place on the back. All right, so I think I am going to Let me see if I have some fabric tack. I know I did. Hang on a second, let me find my glue. Okay, sorry, I had to go grab my little minis because my larger bottle is starting to run dry. So I'm going to put a generous amount here on the back. Move that off to the side. I'm going to hide those threads, remember. So I'm going to glue this one piece in place. Pull my other piece around and cut off a significant amount there. And then go back in on top of this. Put my other piece to glue in the back. And it's all coming undone on me. Alright, there we go. Get it nice and tight. And then I'm just going to hold it there so you can see how that's going to look in the front here. And while I'm waiting for that to grab, I can go ahead and cut those threads off that are sticking out. Alright. I think that has grabbed pretty well. Now my glue is coming out all over my glass mat, so I need to clean this up. Alright, so I am going to now use this permanent glue. It says it's for wood, cork, ceramics, wood, and more. It's 527. This is also from Beacon. And so to get it ready, you open up the cap, and the lid has a poker in it. So you just push down, and then you set the top back on. And then you can take the top part off, and it is ready to go. So now I'm going to turn this over and apply this glue to the back of my piece. And if I lay it down, I can see pretty much how much I need to glue down. Alright, and this one does have a little bit of an odor to it, so you may want to vent or use caution if you're sensitive to that. And then I'm going to place this on here. I'm looking at the top here to center things. You can really lay it out however you want. Totally your project. Alright, and then I'm going to place my bow right in the center there, like so. And I could even go up a little bit higher, but I think I want to cover up that center part there. Alright, so I'm going to use the 527 on the back of my bow, go out to this part a little bit, just so it has something to grab onto. And I'm going to center it right over that gap space, right there. The other thing you can do is if you have a position that you want your bows to be in, you can go in with your fabric tack and do a little tacking underneath. Alright, and now I am just going to clean up the ends here. And with a lighter, I'm just going to burn the end a little bit. So I also created a file to work for paper crafting. So same file, the only thing that's different is I didn't cut out these because they're very fine. So what I did is I replaced them with the same file, but in 2 different colors. So we can put those together and make it work that way. I just have to decide how I want to flip these around and how they'll work on top of each other. I think we'll have them go in the same direction. And that should work fine. Or you could put the light ones on top, whichever works for you. All right, so to begin, I've got a 4x6 card base here. And then I've got a piece that is 3.5 by 5.5. Had to think for a minute there. And then I'm just using tape runner to put this decorative piece of paper onto the card base or the card stock. And I'm just eyeballing the center here. Now this is not on a card yet. We'll put that on a card at the end. Okay, so then I have my ornament. I'm just going to cover it with some glue. And once again, let's just center that. On the card. And then the next piece is a little band, and I just cut that out of the same silver color. And now for these I want, I think, trying to decide which way I want it. Okay. And there's the berries. And I lost one from this side over here. So I thought I could just add that on. Like that. And then instead of a fabric bow, I went ahead and did the paper version. And I think for this we're going to use foam. Oh, and any of the glue that is showing up on the silver card, I'm just going to go in and wipe that off with a wet baby wipe. And there we go. Paper version, wood version. I almost forgot we want to put this onto our card. So I'm gonna just use the tape runner again. And this piece is the same size as the front of my card. So I'm just going to stand it up. Put those two together. And now we have our finished card.